Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Cosmos. Tonight we are going to sit together with a title that sounds, at first, like it should keep you awake, and then we are going to turn it slowly in our hands until it becomes the very thing that carries you down into sleep. The end of all life on Earth in 2 hours. Say it once, quietly, and notice how large it seems. And then let me tell you a small secret about it. The kind of secret that is really only a change of angle. The end of anything, when you look at it closely enough, is not a slamming door and not a sudden dark. The end of anything, when you look at it with patience, is far more like a breath being let out all the way. A long, unhurried exhale that no one is rushing. A tide that has reached the top of the sand and has simply, without alarm, begun to slide back toward the sea. That is the ending we are going to spend the next while with. Not a collision, not a scream. A tide going quietly out, no alarm in it at all. We are going to move through this together in 4 unhurried movements, and you do not need to remember any of them, because I will carry them for you. First, we will look at what it even means for something to end, and how the ending of a world is stitched into the same fabric as its beginning. Then, we will drift out into the deep history of endings, the ones that have already happened on this earth, the ones written into stone and into the memory of stars, and we will find them, strangely, to be full of continuity rather than loss. After that, I will ask you simply to be carried, to imagine yourself drifting on the surface of something enormous and safe, letting the ideas pass beneath you like currents you can feel, but do not have to swim against. And near the end, we will pull back, very far back, until this whole planet and this whole 2 hours becomes a single small warm light among an ocean of lights, and you feel, instead of small, wonderfully held. If any of this is a comfort to you tonight, a like or a subscribe helps the channel reach others who are also lying awake in the dark, others who are turning the same large thoughts over and looking for a low voice to make them soft. That is all. There is nothing else to do, and truly, nothing here needs anything from you. None of this is anything you need to hold on to. You will not be quizzed. You will not miss a thing if you drift off in the middle, because the whole point of the drifting is that it takes you somewhere better than any sentence I could give you. So settle in. Wherever you are, let the weight of you be received by whatever is holding you. The mattress, the pillow, the chair, the floor of a moving train. Let your shoulders ease down from wherever they have been holding themselves all day, down away from your ears, down toward the earth. Let your jaw come loose. Let the small muscles around your eyes stop working so hard. Let your breath find its own slow rhythm, in through the nose, a pause at the top, like the moment the tide hangs before it turns, and then the long, easy release. There is nothing to solve. There is only the sound of this, and the dark, and the slow turning of a very old thought made peaceful. Let's begin. Let's begin where all endings secretly begin, which is at the beginning. Because here is the first thing worth resting your mind against tonight. Nothing on this earth has ever ended in the way we fear when we say the word ending. Nothing has ever simply stopped and left a hole shaped like nothing. Everything that has ever ended here has ended into something else. The word we use so heavily, the end, is really only a hinge, a place where one long shape hands itself to the next long shape, the way one wave, having risen as far as it can, does not vanish, but lies back down into the water it was always made of. When you imagine the end of all life on Earth in 2 hours, Your mind wants to draw a wall, a hard black wall with nothing on the far side. But the universe has never once built a wall like that. It builds slopes. It builds tides. It builds long, low descents, where you can barely feel the moment one thing becomes another, the way you cannot say exactly which breath was the one that carried you across the border into sleep. So let us set the wall down. There is no wall tonight. There is only a shoreline, and the water going out, unhurried, taking its time, in no rush at all to reach the sea. Think, first, about how modest the boundary between living and not living truly is. We speak of life as if it were a bright torch held up against a great dark, and death as the wind that puts it out. But life on Earth was never a torch. It was a slow chemistry, a patient arrangement of very ordinary things, carbon and water and warmth and time, folding themselves into shapes that could copy themselves, and then folding again. The same atoms that make you were once seawater, were once stone, were once the inside of a star that let go of its light long before there was an earth to receive it. When those atoms are done being you, they will not be destroyed. Not one of them. They will be handed on, unbroken, to whatever comes next, to the soil, to the air, to a river, to a tree that is not yet a seed. So the end of all life, even imagined at its very fullest, is not the deletion of anything. It is the loosening of a particular arrangement. It is a knot the size of a world, patiently untying itself, thread by thread by thread, and every thread that comes loose is still there, still whole, still part of the weave of the world, just no longer pulled tight into the shape we called alive. There is a strange comfort in that, and I want you to let it settle over you like a blanket that has been warmed. Nothing here is being lost. Something here is only being let go, the way the lungs, at the very bottom of a long exhale, let go of the last of the air without any fear at all. And notice how gradual it really is, this thing we imagine as sudden. Even in the largest scenarios the universe offers, the ones written in the language of vanished suns and cooling worlds, the ending arrives not as a moment, but as a season. A world does not blink out. A world dims. Its warmth draws down slowly, over spans of time so vast that if you stood inside them, you would feel only the mildest change from one age to the next. A little more quiet, a little more low light, a little more of the long blue hour that comes before true dark. If you have ever watched a winter dusk arrive over open country, you already know the shape of it. There is no instant when the day ends. There is only the light thinning, and the cold coming up out of the ground so tenderly that you are warm, and then you are cool, and you never once felt the crossing. That is how worlds end, when they end. Not with a slam. With a dusk that takes a very long time, and is beautiful the whole way down, and asks nothing of you but that you watch it, or that you close your eyes and let it happen, the way you are letting this happen now. So we have set down the wall, and we have set down the idea of the sudden. What is left, when you take those two heavy things away, is something almost tender. The end of all life on Earth becomes a long, slow exhale of the whole planet, and you are not outside it, watching in fear. You are inside it, one small warm part of the breath, being carried out with the tide, in no danger. Because the tide is not a danger. The tide is only the sea remembering its own shape. Rest there a moment. Let the wall stay down. Let the dusk keep coming. We have all the time in the world, and more. Let me tell you now how people first came to understand that Earth has ended before, again and again, and always continued. This is the discovery, and it is a slow and human and rather beautiful story, and you can let it wash over you without holding on to a single date, because none of the dates matter tonight. For most of the time that people have lived on this planet, they believed the Earth was young and unchanging, a fixed stage on which the small dramas of a single lifetime played out, and then were done. The hills had always been the hills. The sea had always kept its line. And then, a few centuries ago, a handful of curious, patient people began to walk along the edges of cliffs and quarries and river cuttings, and to notice something that quietly rearranged everything. They noticed that the rock was made of layers. Layer upon layer upon layer, laid down like the pages of an enormous book, each page a season of the world, each page pressed flat by the weight of all the pages above it. And in those pages they began to find the shapes of things that had lived, shells in the tops of mountains, the curled ghosts of creatures that no living sea had ever held, bones of animals that walked no forest anyone had ever walked. Imagine the slow dawning tenderness of that realization. To stand with a piece of stone in your hand and understand, for the first time, that you are holding a fragment of a vanished world, a world that lived and moved and then, without any catastrophe you could point to, handed itself down into rock so that a later creature, you, could one day pick it up and wonder. These early readers of the Earth gave the layers names, and the names are lovely to say low in the dark, and you do not need to keep them. They are only a lullaby of the deep past. They found ages when the whole planet was warm and shallow and green, drowsing under wide seas. They found ages when it was cold and white and vast, holding its breath under ice. And crucially, between many of these ages, they found the endings. The places in the stone where one whole world of creatures thins out and is gone, and above it, after a hush written in a thin dark band of rock, a new world of creatures rises and fills the pages once more. That thin dark band, that is where the wonder lives, because when those patient people looked at it closely, they did not find horror. They found a hinge. Below it, one flourishing of life, complete and confident and utterly at home in its age. Above it, another flourishing, different, new, drawing on the very same materials, the same carbon, the same water, the same warmth, rearranged into fresh and unforeseen shapes. The band between was not an emptiness. It was a passage. It was the long, slow breath the planet took between one exhale and the next inhale, and it always, always turned back into life. Every single time the Earth has let go, it has caught itself again on the far side and gone on. The tide has gone out, and the tide has come back in, and it has done this so many times that the stone beneath your bed, if you could read it, would read like the rise and fall of a great slow chest, breathing across ages you will never have to feel the length of. The people who first read this were not frightened by it, in the end. They were steadied by it, because to know that the world has ended before and continued is to know that ending is not a stranger here. It is not an intruder. It is native to this place, woven into its bones as deeply as living is. And once you know that, the imagined ending of the title loses its sharp edge entirely. 2 hours, 2 ages, 200 million years, they are all the same shape. They are all the tide. Going out with such patience, coming back with such faithfulness, that no single turning of it can be anything to fear. You are lying inside the newest page of the book, and the page beneath you is thick with all the worlds that came before, and every one of them let go without alarm, and every one of them became the soil of what came next. Let that be a pillow under the back of your mind. You are held up by every ending that ever was. There is a further gentleness in the discovery, and it is this. The people who read the stone came to understand that even the creatures who lived through the great endings mostly did not experience them as endings at all. Life at the small scale, a single creature on a single morning, feels only the small scale. It feels the warmth of the sun and the taste of the water and the nearness of its own kind. The vast turning of an age is far too slow to be felt from inside a single life. Generations pass. The climate leans by a degree over 10,000 years. The length of a shoreline shifts by the width of a hand each century, and no creature living inside that slow leaning ever feels itself to be at an ending. It only ever feels itself to be at home, in its own morning, in its own patch of warmth. And so even the largest ending, spread across its true and enormous time, is made entirely of ordinary, peaceful mornings, one after another, each one complete, each one enough. There is no moment inside it that is terrible. There is only a long procession of gentle days, leaning imperceptibly toward dusk, and every single one of them a good day to be alive in. Now let us turn our low light toward the sun. Because when people imagine the true and final end of all life on earth, the kind that comes not from any sudden blow, but from the deep clockwork of the heavens, it is the sun they are really thinking of. And the sun, it turns out, is the tenderest ending of all. Here is how it works, told slowly, told so that it becomes a lullaby rather than a lesson. The sun is a star, and a star is a great warm patience. It is a vast sphere of the lightest things in the universe, held together by nothing but its own weight, and deep at its center that weight presses so hard that the lightest things fold into slightly heavier things. And in that folding, a little warmth is released, and that warmth, working its way outward over an unhurried span, is the light that has fallen on every morning you have ever known. The sun has been doing this, steadily, faithfully, without a single day off, for longer than the earth has existed. And it will go on doing it, just as steadily, for a span so long ahead of us that the whole of human history is a single heartbeat inside it. But a star is a finite warmth, and this is not a sad thing, it is only a true thing, and true things, held tenderly, are soft. Very slowly, across billions of years, the sun uses up the lightest fuel at its center and begins, ever so gradually, to warm. Not suddenly, never suddenly, by a fraction of a fraction each million years, a warming so patient that a creature living through any 1,000 years of it would feel nothing, would only ever feel the ordinary sun on the ordinary sea. And far, far down that long road, so far that the continents themselves will have drifted into shapes no map has ever held, the sun will have warmed enough that the earth grows too warm to hold its seas, and the water that has cradled all of life will rise slowly into the sky, and the planet will become a still, warm, quiet place, dry and golden and calm, resting under a larger, softer, redder sun. And here is the part I most want to lay gently across you. There is no violence in it. The mind, hearing that the seas will one day rise into the air, wants to picture a boiling, a screaming, a catastrophe. But the true shape of it is nothing like that. It is the slowest possible warming, spread across a span so vast that it makes the whole rise and fall of every civilization look like a single afternoon. Life does not experience it as an attack. Life experiences it if it experiences anything at all, as an age growing warm, then warmer, then quiet, then still. The way a long summer afternoon grows heavy and golden and drowsy toward evening, until the creatures of the meadow, one by one, without alarm, lie down in the warm grass and close their eyes. The end that the sun brings is not a fire. It is a drowsiness. It is the whole planet growing warm and heavy and slow, and finally lying down to rest in a golden light, the longest, most peaceful afternoon that has ever been or ever will be. And even then, even when the seas have risen and the surface has grown still, the story does not stop, because the sun itself is only doing what stars do, which is to breathe out at the very last in the most generous way imaginable. Near the end of its long life, the sun will swell, softly and enormously, into a great red giant. A vast dim rose filling the sky, cooler at its surface than it is now, so cool that it glows the color of embers rather than the color of noon. And then, having swelled, it will let go of its outer layers, not in an explosion, but in a slow exhale, a soft shedding of its own substance out into the dark, a luminous ring of gas drifting gently away in every direction, glowing faintly for ages, the loveliest thing in that whole quarter of the sky. Those who study the heavens have a name for these shed and glowing rings, and they are among the most beautiful objects the universe makes. Delicate shells of colored light hung against the black, the gentle ghosts of stars that have breathed all the way out. That is what our sun will become. Not a wound in the sky, a slow, glowing exhale, drifting outward, carrying the very atoms that once made the earth back out into the great dark to become, in time, the stuff of new stars and new worlds, and who is to say, new mornings, new meadows, new warm grass for some later creature to lie down in. So the sun, the great author of the final ending, turns out to be the gentlest storyteller of them all. It gives warmth for an unimaginable span, then it gives a long golden drowsiness, and then it gives itself away entirely, breathing out into the dark in a ring of soft light that will father the next generation of stars. There is not one harsh note in the whole of it. It is the longest, slowest exhale in the solar system, and we are held inside the warm part of it right now, in the very middle of the long, steady breath, with more of the good warm light ahead of us than any mind can hold. Rest in the middle of the breath. There is so much of it left. The tide is nowhere near going out, and even when it does, at the very far end of everything, it will go out the way all tides go out here, without alarm, giving itself softly back to the sea it came from. Let us pause the thinking now, and let me simply carry you for a while. You do not have to follow anything in this part. You only have to be carried, the way the sea carries the things it loves. Imagine, then, that you are lying on your back on the surface of a wide, warm ocean, far from any shore, under a sky that holds the last low light of an evening that is in no hurry to end. The water beneath you is exactly the temperature of your own skin, so that you cannot quite feel where you end and where the sea begins. Your arms drift out to the sides, easy, open. Your legs are loose and long. The small of your back is held. The back of your head is held. Every part of you that has spent the whole day holding itself up is, for now, held instead by the water, which asks nothing of you, which has always been able to carry far heavier things than you, which is carrying you now without the smallest effort, the way it carries the light and the salt, and the slow, enormous currents that circle the whole of the world. Feel the rise and the fall of it. The swell lifts you, slowly up, to the top of a long, low wave, and holds you there for a hushed moment at the crest, and then it lowers you again, just as slowly, down into the soft trough between one swell and the next, and then up, once more, and down once more, a rhythm older than any heartbeat, the breathing of the sea itself. You are riding on the exhale of the whole ocean. Up on the inhale, held at the top, down on the long release. And you notice, drifting there, that this is the very same shape as everything we have been speaking of tonight. The rise of an age, and its slow letting go. The warmth of a star, and its long soft cooling. The great tide of all life, coming in across the ages and going quietly out again, and here you are, lying on the surface of it, moving with it, in no danger, because you are made of the same water, because you belong to the tide as much as the tide belongs to the sea. Let the ideas pass beneath you now like the deep, slow currents they are. You do not have to reach for them. You do not have to swim. Far below you, in the dark and gentle deep, the whole history of endings is moving, unhurried, on its way to somewhere, and you can feel the faint pull of it against your drifting body, a current here, a current there. But none of it asks you to do anything. None of it wants you to work. It only wants to carry you, the way it has carried every ending this world has ever known, softly, patiently, out toward a horizon where the light is warm and low, and the water and the sky have grown so alike that there is no longer any line between them. And the sky above you is deepening now, so slowly you cannot catch it happening, from the pale gold of the late evening into the first soft blue of the coming night, and one by one, without ceremony, the stars are arriving. Not all at once. One, and then a little later another, and then a scattering, and then a great faint dusting of them, until the whole dark bowl above your floating body is quietly full of light. And each of those lights, you remember drowsily, is a sun, and many of them have already breathed their long exhale and let go of their outer shells into rings of drifting glow, and many of them are, right now, in the warm, steady middle of their breath, just like ours, carrying on their own small blue worlds and their own small warm mornings and their own small drifting creatures, floating on their own warm seas, being carried exactly as you are being carried now. You are not alone on the water. The whole sky is full of others being carried. The whole universe is one great sea, and everything in it is floating and rising and being let softly down and rising again. There is nowhere you have to be. There is nothing you have to reach. The current has you. The swell has you. The warm water that is exactly the temperature of your own skin has you, and it will not let you go, and it will not hurry you, and it does not mind at all how long you take. Breathe in as the swell lifts you. Hold at the crest for the space of a hushed moment. And breathe out, long and slow and complete, as the water lowers you down into the soft trough and lifts you and lowers you and lifts you all night, all the long good night on the patient breathing sea. Now that the water is holding you, let us wander back into thought, slowly, softly, the way you might wander back toward a conversation you drifted away from. There is a kind of ending that people fear more than the slow warming of the sun, because it seems to arrive from outside and all at once. And that is the ending that falls from the sky. A stone from the dark, a wandering piece of the early solar system, drawn down at last to meet the Earth. This has happened before, and the story of it, once you slow it all the way down, is not a story of terror. It is a story of exchange, of the Earth being visited by an old relative it had not seen in a very long time. Because those wandering stones are not strangers, They are made of the very same materials the Earth is made of, left over from the same cloud of dust and ice that gathered, long ago, into the sun and its worlds. When one of them comes down, it is not an invasion. It is a homecoming. It is a piece of the family, returning after a long and lonely orbit through the cold, coming back to lie down in the warm body of the world it was born beside. The one people remember most brought an ending to the great long-necked and long-tailed creatures who had ruled the warm continents for an unimaginable span, far longer than any creature since. And here again, if you slow it down, the horror falls away, and something steadier takes its place. For those creatures, the world had been good for so long, so many millions of drowsy, fern-scented mornings, so many ages of warm, shallow seas and slow rivers and vast, quiet forests, that no length of time you can hold in your mind comes close to the length of their afternoon in the sun. They lived and lived and lived, generation upon generation, each one waking to its own ordinary warm day, none of them ever knowing that they were living inside what a later creature would call an age of giants. And when the stone came down, and the long dust rose, and the warmth of the world drew in for a while under a pale gray sky, it was, once more, a hinge. Beneath it, the age of the giants, complete and vast and enough. Above it, after the hush, a new page turning, and rising into that page, small and warm and quick, the little furred creatures who had been waiting in the undergrowth all along, and who would, in their own slow turning of the ages, become the deer and the whales and the elephants, and in time, become us. That ending was our beginning. The tide that went out for the giants was the very same tide that came in for the mammals, and there was no gap in it, no true emptiness, only the water moving from one shape of life to the next, faithful as it has always been. Sit with that a moment, floating there. You exist because the world once ended. The particular arrangement of things that made you possible was uncovered, was given room, by the letting go of an older arrangement. And when you understand that, the whole idea of ending turns over in your hands and shows you its other face, which is not loss but making room, not a closing but a clearing, the way a forest, after a fire has passed slowly through, opens a warm clearing where the light can reach the ground, and 1,000 seeds that had waited for years in the dark, patient and dry, finally take the warmth and wake and rise. Every ending this earth has known has been a clearing like that, a making of room, a gift, handed forward, from the age that had had its long good afternoon to the age that was waiting quietly in the shade for its turn to come. And notice, too, how the earth itself is built to soften every blow. It has an ocean of air wrapped all the way around it, a tender blue cushion that most of the wandering stones never even pass through, that catches them and warms them, and unmakes them into brief lines of light we call falling stars, the very ones you might wish on. It has vast waters that take up warmth and give it back so slowly that the whole planet is steadied, kept from ever swinging too far or too fast, cradled always toward the middle, toward the mild, toward the livable. It has a slow inner warmth of its own that shapes and reshapes its surface across the ages, healing over every scar, drawing every crater and every wound down at last into new smooth stone. The earth is in every way a self-soothing world. It has been taking the blows and the warmings and the coolings of billions of years, and it has softened every one of them, and it has always, always come back to green. You are lying on the surface of the most patient, most forgiving, most self-healing thing you will ever know. It has never once failed to catch itself, It is holding you now. Let us drift now to the very smallest and most tireless living things, because they hold a comfort that the great creatures cannot. When we imagine the end of all life, our minds naturally go to the large and the familiar, the forests and the animals and the people, and we picture their letting go and we ache a little. But life on this planet was never mostly large. Life on this planet is, and has always been, overwhelmingly small, so small you cannot see it, so numberless that a single spoonful of ordinary soil holds more living things than there are people who have ever lived. And these small ones are astonishing in their endurance. They live in the boiling water at the bottom of the sea, where the earth's inner warmth pours out into the dark, and they are happy there. They live in ice that has not thawed in 1,000,000 years, holding themselves in a patient sleep, waiting. They live deep, deep in the solid rock beneath your feet, far below any root, in warm, still water held in the pores of the stone, drawing their slow living from the minerals themselves, needing no sun at all. They live in places so harsh that every scenario we can imagine for the ending of the world would leave. Somewhere, some quiet, warm pocket where they would simply carry on, drowsing, dividing, enduring, the way they have endured every ending the earth has ever thrown across their long, unbroken watch. There is a creature so small you need a lens to see it, plump and slow and almost comically peaceful in its shape, that can dry itself out completely, fold itself down into a tiny still speck, and wait. It can wait through heat that would char wood and cold that would crack steel. It can wait through the emptiness and the harsh light of open space itself, drifting, dry, patient, asking nothing. And then, when at last a drop of water finds it again, however many years later, it swells softly back into itself and wakes and walks on, as if it had only been resting its eyes for a moment. That creature is alive right now, in the damp moss on 10,000 roofs and stones and forest floors, dreaming its dry, slow dream, ready to outlast almost anything. And it is not rare, and it is not alone. The whole planet is lined and layered and threaded through with small, tireless lives like it, tucked into every crack and pore and pocket, so that life here is not a single flame that a wind could put out, but a deep, wide, saturated thing, soaked all the way through the stone, far too deep and far too patient to ever be fully let go. So when you hear the phrase, the end of all life, let this small comfort come and lie down beside you. All life is a very large word, and life has made itself very hard to end. It hid itself, over billions of years, in the hottest and coldest and deepest and driest corners of the world, precisely because those corners are the ones that no ending can reach all at once. The tide can go out across the whole warm surface, and still, down in the deep pores of the rock, in the still warm dark, the small ones go on breathing their slow breath, keeping the long watch, holding the thread unbroken, waiting with infinite patience for the water to return to the surface, as it always has, as it always will. Life is not a candle. Life is a spring, sunk deep into the ground, and you can dry the whole surface of the world, and the spring is still there, far below, quietly full, quietly rising, ready to feed a green world back into being the moment the warmth and the water allow. Nothing you can imagine tonight can reach the spring. It is too deep. It is too patient. It is safe. Rest on that. The deep water is safe, and it is holding the whole future of the world for you, quietly in the dark while you sleep. And there is a further softness folded into this, one worth resting your whole tired mind against. These small, enduring lives do not fear their endings, and they do not fear ours. Because fear is a thing that only comes with a certain kind of mind, and most of life has never had it, and never needed it. The moss does not lie awake. The deep dark spring of small lives in the stone does not count the ages or dread the turning of them. It simply is, fully, in each moment, warm where it is warm, and still where it is still, and it lets the great slow tides of the world move through it without the slightest alarm, because it is made to move with them, not against them. There is an enormous peace available in that, if you will let yourself borrow it for the night. You can set down, for these few hours, the particular human burden of holding the whole long story in your mind at once, of seeing the ending from far away and aching at it. You can put that down and simply be, as the moss is, as the deep spring is, fully here, fully warm, fully held, letting the great tide move through you and asking it for nothing. The moss is teaching you how to sleep. Breathe as slowly as the moss dreams. Be as untroubled by the far ending as the deep spring is. You are one of the small, warm, patient lives tonight, and nothing is asking anything of you at all. Let us stay a while longer with the water itself, because water is the quiet hero of every ending on this earth, and there is a deep restfulness in following where it goes. Think of how the water moves through the whole living world without ever being used up, without ever being lost, only borrowed and returned, endlessly. The same water that is the sea rises softly into the sky as the lightest of mists, gathers into the slow gray ships of the clouds, drifts across the whole turning face of the world, and comes down again as rain onto the high ground, and gathers into the thin bright threads of the first small streams, and those streams find one another and become brooks. And the brooks find one another and become rivers, and the rivers wind their long patient way back down across the land, unhurried, in no rush at all, until at last they arrive once more at the sea they came from, and lie back down into it, and rest, and rise again. Not one drop is ever lost in the whole of that long circling. The water that is falling as rain somewhere in the world tonight is the very same water that was the ancient sea, the very same water that moved through every creature that ever lived and was given softly back, the very same water that will move through everything that ever lives again. It is the oldest traveler there is, and it has never once come to any harm, and it has never once stopped its slow, faithful circling, out to the sky and back to the sea, out and back, gentle as breath. And you are mostly water, remember. You are, more than anything else, a warm and temporary gathering of that same old faithful traveler, holding its particular shape for a little while before it moves on and circles round and gathers somewhere new. The water that is you tonight has been the sea and the rain and the river and the deep cool spring in the stone, and it has been countless other living things across the long ages, and it will be countless more when it has finished, softly, being you. So even the wettest, most living part of you is only borrowed, only passing through, only resting in your shape for a warm little while on its endless way around the world. And there is such peace in that, if you let it in. You do not have to hold on to the water. It was never yours to keep. It is only visiting, the way a guest visits, warmly, gladly, and then goes on its way with a tender farewell and no regret on either side. Let the water in you be a guest tonight. Let it rest in your shape, warm and easy, and know that when it moves on, so far from now, it will only be continuing the oldest and gentlest journey there is, out to the sky and back to the sea, out and back, faithful forever, carrying the memory of your warmth on into the long circling of the world. So when you hear that the seas will one day rise into the sky at the very far end of the world's long afternoon, hear it now as what it truly is, which is only the water taking one more turn of its endless faithful circle, rising as it has always risen, borrowed as it has always been borrowed, on its way, in the fullness of the vast slow ages, to gather somewhere new and come down as rain on some later warm ground and feed some later green world into being. The water does not end. The water only travels. And you are made of it, and carried by it, and returned by it, over and over, gently, forever. And there is nothing in the whole long circling of it that you ever need to fear or hold or guard. Rest in the traveling water. Let it circle you softly all night, out and back, warm as rain, patient as the sea, faithful as the tide, going quietly out and quietly, certainly, coming in. Let us think now about time itself and about the strange kindness hidden inside the enormous numbers, because it is the numbers, more than anything, that make an ending feel like something to fear, and the numbers, properly understood, are the softest pillow of all. The title says 2 hours, and 2 hours is a human span, a span you can feel, the length of a long bath, the length of a slow meal, the length of the drive home in the dark. But the true endings the universe deals in are not measured in hours. They are measured in spans so vast that the word for them is barely a word. Spans across which the whole of recorded human history is a single blink, across which the rise of the mountains and the drift of the continents is a slow, visible motion. And here is the kindness in that. Any ending spread across such a span cannot possibly be a shock, because a shock is a thing that happens fast, and nothing that takes 1 billion years to happen can happen fast. The vast numbers do not make the ending bigger. They make it slower. They stretch it out so thin, across so many quiet ages, that no single moment inside it is anything but ordinary. Let me give you a way to feel this. Imagine the whole life of the earth so far, from its first warm gathering out of dust to this very night, laid out as a single long day, from one midnight to the next. On that day, the earth forms in the first dark minutes after midnight. Life appears, small and simple, remarkably early, before breakfast, and then for hour upon hour upon hour, all through the long morning and the long afternoon, life is nothing but those small, simple things, patient, drowsing, dividing, filling the warm seas without hurry. The great creatures, the forests, the giants, the whole rich pageant we picture when we think of life, all of that arrives only in the last hour or so before midnight. And every human being who has ever lived, every city, every song, every name you have ever loved, all of it fits into the last few seconds before the clock comes round again. That is where you are. In the last soft seconds of a very long and peaceful day, a day that was mostly warm shallow seas and small drowsing lives, a day with no catastrophe in it, a day that unfolded so slowly that no creature inside any hour of it ever felt itself to be anywhere but at home in an ordinary warm morning. And the day is nowhere near over. That is the part the fear forgets. The sun has warmth to give for as long again as it has already given, and longer. There are more good mornings ahead of this world than there are grains of sand on the shore you were floating near. The ending, when it truly comes, is so far down the long slope of time that between here and there lie more warm, ordinary days than any mind could ever number. Each one complete, each one a small full life for something, each one enough. You are not standing at the edge of the ending. You are resting in the warm middle of a story so long that its ending is not even a shape on the horizon yet, not even a low line of cloud, only a rumor, only the faintest knowledge that all long stories, being kind, do eventually let their listeners rest. There is a real comfort in largeness once you stop flinching from it, and I want to hand it to you now, softly. We are taught, somewhere along the way, that to be small in a vast universe is a lonely and frightening thing, that our little lives are dwarfed by the great spans and the great distances, and that this ought to make us afraid. But turn it over. To be small inside something so vast is exactly what it is to be safe. A child is small inside the arms of the one who carries her, and she is not frightened by her smallness. She is comforted by it. Because being small is the whole reason she can be carried. The whole reason she does not have to hold herself up. The whole reason she can let her heavy head fall and close her eyes and trust the largeness to do the carrying. That is your place in all of this tonight. You are small inside something unimaginably large and unimaginably old and unimaginably patient, and that largeness is not looming over you. It is holding you up. It is doing the carrying so that you do not have to. Let your head be heavy. Let the largeness carry you. It has carried every ending this world has ever had, and it has never once dropped a single one. Let us follow the atoms now, all the way out, because this is perhaps the most quietly astonishing comfort of them all, and it deserves to be told slowly, in the dark, while you are soft and half drifting. Every particle that makes up your body tonight, every atom in your slowing breath, and your easing shoulders and your heavy warm hands, was made inside a star. This is not a poem. It is the plainest fact about you. The lightest things in the universe were there from the very beginning, but everything heavier, the carbon in the marrow of your bones, the oxygen you are breathing this very moment, the iron that reddens your blood, the calcium that frames you, every atom of it was forged in the deep hot heart of some star that lived and breathed its long life, and then, at the end, let go, scattering the heavier things it had made out into the dark for the next generation of worlds to gather up. You are, quite literally, made of the endings of stars. You are what a star becomes when it has breathed all the way out and its scattered substance has drifted for ages and gathered again, warm and living, into a shape that can lie in the dark and wonder about endings. Your very existence is proof that the ending of a great thing is not an emptiness, but a seeding, a scattering of gifts, a handing forward of everything precious to whatever will come next. So when we speak of the end of all life on Earth, follow the atoms and see where the fear goes. It goes nowhere. Because the atoms go nowhere frightening. When at last the long warm afternoon of this world draws down and its living arrangements loosen, every atom that was ever part of anything alive here remains, whole, unbroken, uncounted, folded back into the body of the planet, into its stone and its soil and its slow sky. And when, in the far, far future, the sun breathes out its own long final exhale and sheds its outer shells softly into the dark, some of those atoms, the very ones that are you tonight, will drift outward on that luminous tide, back into the great cloud from which new stars are always being born. And in some later warm gathering, around some later patient sun, they may fold themselves once more into a world, and into seas, and into small drowsing lives on the surface of those seas, and the long story will simply begin again, told in the same old faithful atoms, the ones that were seawater and stone and star and you, and will be, in their unhurried turn, something new and warm and alive that we will never see and do not need to see, because it is enough. It is more than enough to know that the thread is never cut, that the atoms are never lost, that the ending is only ever the tide gathering itself to come in again somewhere far away, in a light we will not be awake for, and that is perfectly all right. Rest in the endlessness of the atoms. You cannot be deleted. The particular arrangement that is you tonight will one day loosen. As every arrangement does, softly, without alarm. But the stuff of you is deathless, and it has been on the most extraordinary journey already. From the heart of a star, to the floor of a sea, to the shape of a hand lying warm and heavy on a blanket in the dark. And its journey is nowhere near done, and there is nothing in the whole of that long road that you need to fear, or guard, or hold. You can let the arrangement be loose tonight. You can let your grip on the shape of yourself go soft, the way it goes soft every night just before sleep takes you. When you stop being quite sure where your hands are, when the edges of you blur pleasantly into the warmth of the bed and you cannot say anymore exactly where you end, and the dark begins. That softening is not a small death to fear. That softening is the whole art of resting. It is the atoms remembering that they are only ever borrowed into shapes, and that letting the shape go loose for a while is the most natural, the most ancient, the most peaceful thing they know how to do. And there is one more turn to this, the tenderest turn of all. The universe, as far as anyone who has ever studied it can tell, wastes nothing and forgets nothing. Warmth that leaves one thing enters another. Light that leaves a star crosses the whole dark ocean of space and falls, at last, into an eye, or a leaf, or a warm sea, and does its work there and is not lost. Every ending pours itself into a beginning, so completely and so reliably that the whole vast machinery of the cosmos can be seen, if you tilt your head just so in the drowsy dark. As one single unbroken act of handing forward, a great slow relay of warmth and light and substance passed from hand to hand to hand across the ages, never dropped, never wasted, never truly ended, only ever moving on. You are a hand in that relay tonight. You received everything you are from the endings that came before you. And one day, softly, you will hand it all forward to the beginnings that come after, and in between there is only this, only the warm holding of the gift for a while, only the quiet privilege of being, for a few good years, the shape the atoms are wearing. That is not a burden. That is the lightest, easiest thing there is. Hold the gift loosely. Let it rest in your open hands. It does not need you to grip it. It only needs you to carry it gently for a while, and then, when the time is right, so far from now, to breathe out and let it go, the way the tide lets go of the shore, the way the lungs let go of the last of the air, the way you are about to let go, softly, of this whole waking day. Let us turn now to the sky at night, and to what it can teach us about endings if we let it, because the sky is honest in a way that daylight never is. In the day, the sky tells you only one story, the story of the single near sun, the story of now, the story of the warm surface of things. But at night, the sky tells you all the other stories at once. Every point of light up there is a sun, and the light you are seeing from it left long ago, crossed the whole dark ocean of space at the greatest speed anything can go, and arrived tonight in your eye. Which means that when you look up, you are not seeing the sky as it is, You are seeing the sky as it was. You are looking, all at once, at 1,000 different pasts, some of them so old that the star whose light you are receiving has already breathed its long exhale and let go and become something new, so that the light in your eye is the last faint message of a sun that has already, tenderly, ended. And yet the light is not sad. The light is beautiful. The light arrives faithful and warm across all that distance and all that time, and falls into your eye and makes the night lovely, long after its source has moved on. That is what an ending looks like from far enough away. It looks like starlight. It looks like a gift still arriving, long after the giver has let go. And this is the deepest lesson the night sky holds. And I want to lay it across you now, softly, like the last blanket. Nothing you love has to still exist in order for its light to reach you. The warmth the thing gave out keeps traveling. The good it did keeps arriving. Everything that has ever ended on this earth, every vanished forest and every vanished creature and every vanished age, is still, in a sense, sending its light forward, in the shape of the world it made room for, in the soil it became, in the atoms it handed on, in the sheer fact that you are here at all to lie in the dark and wonder. You are, right now, standing in the arrived light of 10,000 endings, warmed by all of them, made by all of them, and not one of them was truly a loss. Because here you are, glowing faintly with the whole of it. The living receiving end of an unbroken beam of handed forward warmth that reaches all the way back to the first small life in the first warm sea. When you look at it that way, the end of all life is not a going out of the light at all. It is only the light setting out on the next long crossing, on its way to fall, someday, into some eye we will never meet, and make some night, somewhere, lovely. So let the night sky be a comfort, and not a vastness that frightens you. Let each point of light be a small message that says, gently, endings arrive as beauty, endings arrive as light, endings arrive faithful and warm across any distance and any span, and nothing that ever mattered is ever really gone. It has only become light on its way to somewhere. And let the great dark between the stars be a comfort too, because that dark is not an emptiness, it is a restfulness. It is the wide, quiet field across which all the light is patiently traveling, the calm, dark sea that holds all the small, warm lights and carries their messages home. You would not want a sky that was all light, with no dark to rest the eye. The dark is what makes the lights tender. The dark is the pillow the stars are resting on, and you are resting on the very same pillow tonight, one small warm light among all the others, held in the same enormous restful dark, sending out your own faint warmth to whoever, whenever, might one day receive it. There is nothing to fear in the dark between the stars. It is the most peaceful place in all of creation. It is where everything is quietly, safely being carried home. There is a particular peace, too, in how slowly the sky changes, and it belongs beside everything else we have gathered tonight. The patterns of stars overhead, the ones people have named and told stories about for as long as there have been people, move so slowly across the ages that a whole human life sees no change in them at all. The same lights that shone over the very first person who ever looked up and wondered are, near enough, the same lights that shine over you tonight, and they will shine, near enough unchanged, over every person who comes after you for longer than you can imagine. The sky is the great slow constant, the thing that holds still while all our small fast lives flicker beneath it. And there is a deep rest in lying under something that changes so slowly it might as well be eternal. It has seen every ending this world has known, and it has not so much as blinked. It watched the giants, and it watched the ice, and it watched the first city, and it will watch the last long golden afternoon. And through all of it, it has simply held its light steady, and its dark wide, and its patience infinite, keeping its calm watch over a world that ends and begins and ends and begins beneath it. The way a parent keeps watch over a child who wakes and sleeps and wakes and sleeps through a long night, unbothered by any single waking, unbothered by any single sleeping, holding the whole night steadily until morning. Let the sky keep watch over you tonight. It is very good at it. It has had a very long time to practice. Let us come back down now, from the far sky, to something very close and very warm, which is the ordinary miracle of a single day on this earth, and how the ending of everything only makes each ordinary day more precious and never less. Think of what a day here actually is. The world turns, slowly, one full patient turn, and because it turns, the warmth comes and goes across it in a rhythm so reliable that all of life has shaped itself around the coming and the going. In the pale hour before the light, the world is cool and hushed and gray, and the birds begin, one at a time, to test the air with sound. Then the warmth comes up over the edge of the world, low and golden, and it touches the tops of things first, the highest leaves, the highest stones, and works its way down, and the cool of the night lifts away like a held breath released, and the whole living surface of the planet leans, quietly, toward the warmth, the way it has leaned every single morning for billions of mornings without once growing tired of it. This happens now. This is not the deep past or the far future. This is tonight's tomorrow, and the day after, and every day between here and the last golden afternoon, more of them than you could count in 100 lifetimes, each one a small full turning, each one warm, each one enough. And knowing that it will not always be so, that this world too, like every world, is one long slow exhale on its way out to sea, does not make the mornings sad. It makes them tender. It is the ending, held lightly in the far distance, that gives every ordinary warm morning its sweetness. The way it is the knowing that a bath will eventually grow cool that makes the warm middle of it so worth sinking into. The way it is the knowing that a song will eventually end that makes you listen to the whole of it while it plays. If the mornings went on forever, exactly the same, without any far horizon at all, we might stop seeing them. It is the tide quietly going out somewhere far away and far ahead that turns each incoming wave into something to be grateful for. And there is no grief in this, none at all, because the ending is so far off and so slow and so gentle that it takes nothing from the morning at all. It only lends the morning its sweetness. The way a single low note of quiet at the edge of a piece of music makes all the warm notes in the middle glow. You can hold the whole shape of it at once tonight, the long warm middle and the far soft ending, and feel only tenderness, only gratitude, only the deep easy peace of a thing that is good now and will be good for longer than you can imagine, and will, at the very last, so far from now, let itself go as softly as everything here has always let itself go. So let the ending be your teacher and not your fear. Let it teach you, tonight, to sink into the warm middle of things without holding on. Let it teach you that the way to love a morning is to receive it fully while it is here, and to let it go easily when it goes. And that this is not loss, this is simply how warmth works, arriving, filling you, and moving on, arriving again tomorrow, filling you again, moving on again, A tide of ordinary warm days coming in and going out across your whole life, and none of them yours to keep, and all of them yours to feel. That is the only lesson in the whole of it, and it is a soft one, and you already know it, because you practice it every single night when you let the whole day go and sink into sleep. Sleep is the small nightly rehearsal of the great easy letting go, and you are wonderfully good at it. You have done it thousands of times. You will do it tonight, softly, without the smallest alarm, the way the world will do its own great letting go someday. Far, far from now, in a golden light, at the bottom of the longest and most peaceful afternoon there has ever been. And notice, as we rest here in the ordinary day, how much of the world's peace is simply given, freely, asking nothing. The warmth of the sun is given. You did not earn it and you cannot lose it, and it falls on you exactly as it falls on everything, without preference, without payment. A warmth that has been arriving faithfully since long before you, and will keep arriving faithfully long after. The air is given, endlessly, breath after breath, without your having to ask or arrange or deserve it, waiting for you at the top of every inhale, patient at the bottom of every exhale. The turning of the world that brings the morning is given. The slow steadiness of the ground beneath you is given. The deep blue holding of the sky is given. You live inside an enormous, patient, unearned generosity, a world that pours warmth and air and light and time over you without cost and without end, and the only thing it ever asks in return is that you receive it, that you let it in, that you rest inside it and let it hold you. So rest inside it now. Let the given warmth be warm on you. Let the given air move slowly in and slowly out. Let the given dark hold you the way it holds the whole turning world, and give nothing back but the soft surrender of a body finally, fully, letting itself be carried. Let us go out now, past the sun, past all the endings the earth itself could ever meet, to the very largest ending of all, the slow one that waits at the far end of the whole universe. Because even that, even the ending of everything everywhere, turns out to be shaped like the softest exhale there is, and once you have seen that, no smaller ending can ever frighten you again. Far, far ahead, so far that the death of our own sun is an early morning event by comparison, the whole vast universe will go on doing what it has always done, which is to spread out, slowly, and cool. The stars, one great generation after another, will live their long lives and breathe their exhales and scatter their gifts. And new stars will gather from the scattered gifts and live and breathe and scatter in their turn, but each generation a little sparser than the last, a little more spread out, a little cooler, until at the very far end, across a span of time so vast that every number we have is far too small to hold it, the last stars will burn low and dim to embers, and then to a faint warm glow, and then, softly, softly to a rest, and the whole universe will settle into a wide, even, tranquil warmth, spread thin across an endless calm, with nothing left anywhere that is hurried, or sharp, or afraid. Now, the mind, hearing this, wants to call it cold and lonely and sad, the great running down, the long dimming, the final rest of all the fires. But feel the true shape of it, slowly, in the dark. It is not a catastrophe. It is the opposite of a catastrophe. A catastrophe is fast and sharp and full of alarm, and this is the slowest, softest, most alarmless thing that can possibly be imagined. It is the universe itself, having breathed out across an unthinkable span, coming at last to the bottom of its long exhale, and simply resting there, evenly warm, evenly calm, evenly at peace. With no more sharp differences anywhere to drive any hurry, Nothing left that must be done. Nothing left that could go wrong. Only a wide, even, endless tranquility, spread smooth across all of space. The way the sea, when the last wave has finally spent itself, goes flat and still and even to the horizon, and holds a single soft warmth from edge to edge. The end of everything is not a scream and not a dark. It is a calm so complete that it has no edges left to trouble it. It is the whole universe, at the very last, doing exactly what you are doing right now, which is letting go of the day's last motion and settling, evenly, softly, into rest. And you do not have to reach that far end, and you do not have to worry about it, because it is so unimaginably distant that between here and there lie more ages than there are atoms in your body, more good warm mornings than the mind can even pretend to hold. It is not a place you are traveling toward. It is only a knowledge, a soft one, that even the very last of everything is peaceful, that the universe is not building toward some terror at its end, but toward a rest. A great even tranquility, the longest and calmest exhale there could ever be. If the biggest ending of all is nothing but a settling into calm, then every smaller ending, the ending of a star, the ending of a world, the ending of a single day, the ending of a single waking mind sinking now toward sleep, is only a small early rehearsal of that great final piece, a little foretaste of the calm that waits, patient and even and warm, at the bottom of the longest breath there is. You are rehearsing it right now. Every night, you practice the great settling. And you are safe in it every night, and you wake from it every morning, and one far day the whole universe will settle the very same way you are settling now, and there will be no alarm anywhere in the whole of it. None. Only rest. So let the largest ending be the largest comfort. Let it be the proof, written across the whole of space and the whole of time, that everything is moving not toward terror, but toward peace, not toward a sharp dark, but toward a wide, even calm, not toward a scream, but toward the softest and most complete rest imaginable. The whole universe is exhaling, slowly, across spans you will never have to feel, toward a stillness so deep and so even that it has no fear left in it anywhere. And you are a small, warm part of that same great breath, settling now, softly, toward your own small nightly stillness, in perfect time with the whole of creation, which is breathing out. Tonight, exactly as you are breathing out, letting the motion go, letting the day go, letting the warmth spread even and low, settling into rest. Let me carry you again for a while, now that we have been so far out and come so gently back, because the thinking can rest and the body wants only to be held. Let the ocean return, the wide, warm ocean that was exactly the temperature of your skin, and let yourself be lying on its surface once more, arms loose, legs long, the small of your back held, the back of your head held. But this time the tide is turning. This time you can feel it, the slow, enormous, unhurried pull of the whole sea beginning, without any alarm, to draw itself back out toward the deep. You are not being taken anywhere frightening. You are simply being carried on the great slow outward breath of the ocean, away from the near shore and out toward the wide open water where the sky and the sea have grown so alike in the low light that there is no longer any line between them, only one warm continuous heldness in every direction, above and below and all around. Feel how the tide asks nothing of you as it carries you. You do not swim, you do not steer, you do not hold on. The pull is so slow and so even that it feels less like a motion and more like a resting, a being drawn, a letting. And the water is warm the whole way, and the light is low and golden the whole way. And the further out you drift, the more the smallness of the near shore and the near day falls away behind you, quiet, complete, no longer needing anything from you at all. This is the tide going out, the very tide the whole of tonight has been about. And here you are, inside it, riding it, carried by it, and there is no alarm in it anywhere. None. Only the wide, warm peace of being taken slowly out to sea by something far larger and far older and far kinder than yourself. Something that has carried every ending this world has ever had out along this very same path, softly, faithfully, and has never once let a single one of them come to any harm. And as the tide draws you out, feel each part of you grow heavier and easier in turn, in time with the slow outward pull. Feel your feet, far away now at the ends of your long, loose legs, grow heavy and warm and let themselves be drawn. Feel the long muscles of your legs unspool, one slow thread at a time, and let themselves be drawn. Feel the great tiredness in your back, and your hips settle down into the warm water, and let itself be drawn. Feel your hands, open on the surface, grow so heavy and so easy that you can no longer quite feel where they end and the warm sea begins, and let them be drawn. Feel your shoulders, which have carried the whole long day, finally set the day down into the water and let it be drawn away with the tide. Out, and out, and out. Feel the small, tired muscles of your face grow smooth and even, your brow, your eyes, your jaw, all of it let go, all of it drawn out softly with the turning of the tide. There is nothing left in you now that is holding on. There is only a warm, heavy, drifting body being carried out to sea by the slowest and kindest tide there is, in a low golden light under a sky that is beginning, one soft star at a time, to fill. Let the tide keep drawing you. You do not have to come back. There is no shore you have to reach, and no shore you have to keep. There is only the outward drift, slow and warm and endless, and the low light, and the filling sky, and the deep even peace of a body that has finally, completely, stopped holding itself up, and let the great sea do the carrying. Breathe in, slowly, as a low swell lifts you. Hold, hushed, at the top. And breathe out, long and full and complete, as the tide draws you down and out, further and softer with every breath, out toward the wide warm water where everything is held and nothing is asked, and the whole of you at last is simply, safely, being carried home. Let us think, drowsily, about how the earth itself will keep the story after the living have handed it on, because there is a deep, quiet comfort in knowing that the world remembers. Long after any particular arrangement of life has loosened, the planet holds the record of it, tenderly, in stone. Every creature that ever lived and lay down and was covered over by the slow drift of sand and silt left, in some quiet place, an impression, a shape, a faint pressed memory of itself in the rock, and the earth keeps these, patiently, for ages beyond counting, the way an old house keeps the worn places on its stairs where countless feet have passed. The world is, in this sense, a vast, slow book that is always writing itself, page over page, and never throwing a single page away. The forests that breathed and fell and were pressed down into dark seams of buried warmth, the shells that drifted down and built the white cliffs a grain at a time, The great slow reefs that grew and died and grew again and became whole ranges of pale stone. All of it is still here. All of it is still held. All of it is the body of the world remembering everything that has ever lived on it. Nothing is forgotten. The earth is the most faithful keeper of memory there has ever been. And so even the fullest imagined ending is not a forgetting. It is only the closing of the most recent chapter of a book that goes on being kept and read and added to by the patient world itself. The stone beneath your bed tonight is already thick with the remembered warmth of 1,000 vanished worlds, and it holds them without grief, without effort. The way you hold the memory of a good day without needing to live it over again, simply keeping it warm and complete, somewhere soft in the back of you. That is what the earth does with its endings. It keeps them. It presses them gently into stone, and it carries them forward. And every new age is built upon the pressed and remembered warmth of all the ages before it, standing on them, growing out of them, made of them. You are standing on that remembered warmth right now. The whole weight of you is being held up by ages upon ages of endings kept softly in the stone, and they are glad to hold you, and they are in no hurry, and they will keep on holding, and holding, and holding, long after tonight has itself become one more warm remembered thing pressed quietly into the long patient book of the world. There is a tenderness, too, in how slowly the stone works, how utterly without hurry the world is about its remembering. It takes the earth an age to turn a fallen forest into a seam of buried warmth, an age to lift a seafloor into a mountain, an age to wear a mountain back down into a plain. The world is never in a rush. It has all the time there is, and it spends that time with the patience of something that knows it cannot run out, laying down its pages one slow grain at a time, lifting and folding and wearing and keeping, across spans so long that a whole range of mountains is, to the earth, only a slow breath rising and a slow breath falling. And there is a rest for you in that patience, if you will borrow it. The world is not hurrying you. The world has never once hurried anything. It moves at the pace of stone, at the pace of tides, at the pace of the slow turning of the ages, and it invites you, tonight, to move at that pace too, to let go of every hurry the day pressed into you, and to sink down into the deep, slow patience of the stone, where nothing is late, and nothing is early, and nothing is ever rushed. Breathe at the pace of the mountains tonight. There is no hurry anywhere in the whole of the world. And consider, softly, that you yourself are a kind of remembering, a way the world has of holding on to its own long story. Everything you are, the shape of your hands, the warmth of your blood, the deep old rhythms of your sleeping and your waking, all of it was learned across billions of years of living on this world, and passed forward, generation to generation, an unbroken handing on of remembered warmth that reaches all the way back to the first small life in the first warm sea. You are the living memory of every ending that made room for you, and every beginning that answered it. You carry the whole long story in your very body, whether you think of it or not, the way a river carries the shape of every land it has ever crossed. And when, so far from now, your own particular arrangement loosens and is handed on, the story you carry will not be lost. It will simply pass forward again, into the world, into the soil, into the slow patient book of the stone, remembered, kept, and eventually, in some warm later age, taken up once more into something new and living that will carry it forward in its turn. You are a memory being carried, and a carrier of memory, And there is nothing in that role that asks you to grip or to guard or to fear. There is only the soft, ancient work of holding the story warmly for a while, and then, when the time comes, so gently, handing it on. Let us rest for a while with the idea of the 2 hours themselves, the 2 hours in the title, because there is a quiet trick hidden in them that can loosen the last of any worry. 2 hours is exactly the shape of a night's descent into sleep, or near enough the slow, low span between the moment you lie down and the moment you are fully gone, and it is no accident that it feels that way. Because the whole of tonight has been built to move at exactly that pace, the pace of a mind letting go of a day. When we say the end of all life in 2 hours, the fearful part of us hears an alarm, a countdown, a clock ticking down towards something sharp. But listen to how the 2 hours actually move here, in the dark, at this pace. They do not tick. They pour. They pour like warm water into a warm bath, slowly filling, slowly rising, each minute softer than the last, until you can no longer tell where one moment ends and the next begins, until the whole span has blurred into a single warm, continuous drift with no edges in it anywhere. That is what these 2 hours are. Not a countdown. A filling. Not a clock running out. A warmth slowly rising until it covers you completely and you sink beneath it into sleep. And that is what any ending is, felt from the inside, at the true and gentle pace. It is not a moment you rush toward and then strike against. It is a warmth that rises so slowly around you that there is never a single instant of alarm. Only more and more of the warm covering, only softer and further down, until the last of the waking simply floats away, uncounted, unmissed. Dissolved into the warm rising drift, like the last thin edge of the day dissolving into the dark. You cross that border every single night, and you have never once felt it happen, never once caught the exact moment of the crossing. Because there is no exact moment, there is only the slow warm rising, and the slow soft sinking, and then, seamlessly, sleep. The great ending of everything is built the very same way, at its own vast pace, a warmth rising so slowly across the ages that no living thing inside it ever feels a border, ever feels a moment, ever feels anything but the ordinary warm covering of an ordinary warm day, until the whole long story has, seamlessly, sweetly, poured itself into rest. So let the 2 hours be a bath and not a clock. Let them pour, warm and slow, and let yourself sink beneath them at whatever pace your body wants, with no moment to brace for and no edge to strike, only the warm rising, only the soft covering, only the further and further down. There is no alarm in the whole of the 2 hours. There never was. The alarm was only ever the shape the words made before we slowed them down, and now they are slowed down, all the way down, to the pace of warm water rising in the dark, and there is nothing sharp left in them anywhere, nothing to flinch from, nothing to guard against. Only the deep, soft comfort of a warmth that means you no harm and asks you for nothing, and wants only, slowly, tenderly, to cover you over and carry you down into rest. Feel the warmth rising now if you like, the true warmth of wherever you are lying, the warmth your own body has made and the covers have kept, the warmth that has slowly gathered around you since you lay down and grew still. Feel it at your feet first, a low, even warmth, and let it be the warm water rising. Feel it move up along your legs, unhurried, covering the long, tired muscles, and let it be the warm water rising. Feel it fill in around your hips and the small of your back, warm and even and complete, and let it be the warm water rising. Feel it come up over your chest, slowing your breath, softening your ribs, and let it be the warm water rising. Feel it reach your shoulders and your heavy warm arms and your loose open hands, and let it be the warm water rising. And feel it, at the last, come up soft around your throat and your jaw and your smoothing brow, the whole warm span of you now covered, held, floating just beneath the surface of a warmth that asks nothing and means only rest. There is no clock. There is only the warmth, risen all the way up, holding you completely. Let it hold you. Let it carry you the last little way down. Let us think, softly, about the company you keep in all of this. Because one of the oldest fears folded into the idea of an ending is the fear of being alone at it. And that fear, too, can be laid down tonight. You are not the first mind to lie awake turning the largeness of things over in the dark, and you will not be the last. For as long as there have been people lying just like you, under some roof or some open sky, in some warm dark, holding the same enormous thoughts and looking for a low voice or a warm hand or a wide star to make them soft. Every person who ever lived came, at some point, to the edge of this same wondering and looked out over it and felt the same small shiver, and then, mostly, found their way back to peace, the way you are finding your way back to peace right now. You are part of a vast, quiet company of wanderers stretching back across all the ages and stretching forward past you into all the ages to come, every one of them holding the same large question, every one of them, in the end, finding the same soft answer, which is that the ending is not a thing to fear, it is a thing to be carried by, a tide that has always gone out gently and always come back faithful, and that no one has ever had to face alone. And you are not alone tonight in the smaller, closer way either. All across the turning world, in this very hour, there are others lying awake exactly as you are, others in the same soft dark, others whose minds have wandered out to the edge of the large things and are looking for the way back to rest. You are breathing in time with all of them, a great quiet chorus of tired warm bodies spread across the whole night side of the planet, each one settling, each one letting the day go, each one being carried down by the same slow tide toward the same warm sleep. You could not be less alone. The whole night side of the earth is full of company, full of others doing exactly what you are doing, sinking softly into rest under the same wide sky, held by the same patient dark, carried by the same faithful tide. And on the day side, the light is already moving toward them, the same warm given light that will come round, in its slow certain turn, to you in the morning, whether you are awake to meet it or still deep in the good warm dark. You are held in a great turning company of the sleeping and the waking, the resting and the rising, all of it moving together, all of it carried together, none of it, ever, alone. There is a deep comfort in belonging to something that large and that warm, and it is a comfort you can lean your whole tired weight against tonight. You do not have to hold the large thoughts by yourself. You never did. They have always been held in common, passed from wanderer to wanderer across the ages like a warm coal carried carefully from one hearth to the next, and your only task, tonight, is the easiest one there is, which is simply to hold your small part of it warmly for a while and then, when sleep comes, to hand it softly on to the dark and let it be kept for you until morning. The whole company will keep watch while you sleep. The wanderers before you have already found the peace and left it here for you to find. The wanderers after you will find it in their turn, and the great faithful tide that carries all of you will keep on carrying, out and in, across all the nights and all the ages, and it will not drop you, and it will not hurry you, and it will not ever leave you to face the largeness alone. You are in the warmest company there is. Let the company carry the thoughts. You have only to rest, and notice, as we near the quiet end of our wandering, how far we have come from where we began, and how the fear has simply, softly dissolved along the way. The way a knot of tension in the shoulders dissolves under a warm and patient hand, not all at once, not with any effort, but slowly, thread by thread, until you look for it and find that it is no longer there. We began with a title that sounded like an alarm, and we turned it slowly in our hands, and we set down the wall, and we set down the sudden, and we followed the atoms out and back, and we drifted on the warm tide, and we watched the starlight arriving faithful across the dark, and somewhere along the way, the alarm became a lullaby, and the ending became a tide going quietly out, and the fear became a warmth rising slow in the dark, and now there is nothing left of it anywhere, nothing sharp, nothing looming, nothing to brace against, only the deep even peace of a mind that has looked at the largest thing there is and found at the heart of it only rest. That was always what was waiting there. It was only the speed that made it frightening. And we have slowed it all the way down, together, to the pace of warm water and turning tides and arriving starlight, and at that pace, there is no fear anywhere in the whole of it, only the long, slow, faithful carrying on of everything, out and in, gentle as breath, patient as stone, warm as the dark around you now. Let us drift, one more time, into the deep history of the living, because there is a story there, so soft and so strange that it can hold you all the way to the edge of sleep. Long ago, before there were any of the large familiar creatures, before there were forests or fish or any of the shapes we would recognize, life on this earth had already learned to survive its own endings by becoming many instead of one. A single living thing is fragile, easily lost, easily let go. But life did not stay single. Very early, in the warm, shallow seas, it learned to copy itself, and to copy the copies, until it was no longer a thing but a tide, a vast unbroken flowing on of itself across the generations, so that the letting go of any single life was nothing to the whole, was only a wave lying back down, while 1,000,000 other waves rose behind it. That is the oldest wisdom on this planet, older than any brain, older than any bone. Life learned, before it learned anything else, that the way to be safe from ending is not to cling to a single shape, but to become a flowing on, a handing forward, a tide. And it has been a tide ever since, 4 billion years of tide, rising and lying down and rising again, never once broken, never once truly stopped, carried forward across every ending by the simple deep genius of being many and being ongoing, rather than being one and being still. And you are the crest of that oldest tide. Every living thing on the earth tonight, the moss on the stone, and the whale in the deep, and the tired warm person lying in the dark, is a present wave of a single unbroken swell that began in the first warm sea and has never once stopped rolling. You are connected by an unbroken living thread back through every ancestor that ever lived, back through the first small creatures that crawled from the water, back through the first drowsing lives in the shallow seas, all the way back to that first learning to copy and to flow and to carry on. Not one link in that whole vast chain was ever broken, not once in 4 billion years, or you would not be here. You are the living proof that the tide has never stopped. And when your own wave, so far from now, lies softly back down into the water, the tide will not stop then either. It will roll on past you exactly as it has rolled on past every wave before you, carrying the whole unbroken swell forward into ages you will never see. Faithful, patient, unhurried, exactly as it always has. You do not have to keep the tide going. You are only one warm wave of it, riding your own turn on the surface. And the tide beneath you is older and larger and safer than any single wave could ever be. And it is carrying you now, and it will carry everything after you. And it has never, in all its 4 billion years, come to any harm. Rest on the oldness of the tide. Feel how much it has already survived, how many endings it has already gone gently out through and faithfully come back in from, and let that long, unbroken faithfulness be the deepest reassurance of all. This is not a fragile thing you are part of. This is the most durable, most patient, most unstoppable thing the earth has ever made. A living tide, 4 billion years unbroken, and it has a genius for continuing that no ending has ever outmatched. It hid in the hot deep and the cold deep. It became small and many. It learned to wait, dry and patient, through ages of harshness, and to swell back into life the moment the water returned. It is, in every way, built to carry on, built to flow past every ending, built to lie down softly and rise again faithfully forever. And you are riding it. You are one warm living crest of the oldest and safest tide there is, and it is holding you up tonight exactly as it has held up every life before you. And there is nothing in the whole of it, nothing anywhere, that you need to fear. Let the old tide carry you. It knows the way. It has always known the way. It was carrying life safely through endings for 4 billion years before you were born, and it will do it, gently, faithfully, for 4 billion more. And so the fear of the ending loosens its last thread and slips away entirely, because you can see, now, that you were never a single fragile flame after all. You were always a wave of an unbroken tide, and a borrowed arrangement of deathless atoms, and a hand in an endless relay of handed forward warmth, and a small warm light sending its message across the faithful dark, and a piece of the family of wandering stones coming home, and the crest of 4 billion years of life that has never once stopped rolling. You were always held, in every direction, by things older and larger and kinder and more patient than any ending. And the letting go, when it comes, so far from now, will be only what it has always been, the softest and most natural thing there is, a wave lying back down into the water it was always made of, a breath let all the way out, a tide going quietly out to sea with no alarm in it anywhere, on its slow and certain way to coming faithfully back in. Let us grow very quiet now, and let the last of the thinking soften into something that is barely a thought at all, more a warmth than an idea. There is a peace that arrives when you stop needing the story to have a shape, when you stop holding even the comfort and simply let yourself be held by it instead. All night we have gathered reasons, and the reasons are true and they are kind. But you do not need to keep a single one of them. You do not need to remember that the atoms are deathless, or that the tide is unbroken, or that the sun's ending is only a long golden drowsiness, or that the largest ending of all is only a settling into calm. You do not need to hold any of it. It will hold you whether you remember it or not, the way the ground holds you whether or not you are thinking about the ground. The way the air keeps arriving at the top of every breath, whether or not you have asked it to. Let the reasons go, now, one by one, Like small warm lights, you are setting down on the surface of the water and letting drift away. You do not need them anymore. You have arrived at the place they were only ever pointing toward, which is rest, which is here, which is now, which is the warm dark holding you gently on every side. Feel how little is left to do. There was never much, and now there is nothing at all. You do not have to solve the ending. You do not have to make peace with it even, because the peace was never something you had to make. It was only something you had to stop refusing, and you have stopped. And here it is, wide and even and warm, filling the room, filling the dark, filling the slow space between your slowing breaths. You do not have to stay awake for the last of this. You do not have to reach the end of my voice. You can let go now, at any moment, whenever the warm tide of your own tiredness lifts you and carries you under. And you will not miss anything, because everything worth arriving at has already arrived. And it is not in any word, it is in the warmth, and the warmth is already all the way around you, holding you, carrying you, asking you for nothing at all. So let the last of the day dissolve. Let the last small holdings of the body come loose, the last faint tightness behind the eyes, the last faint holding in the hands, the last faint effort anywhere in you to keep, to guard, to stay. Let it all go soft and warm and heavy and drifting, and let the slow outward tide take it, out and out and out. There is nothing left that is yours to carry tonight. The atoms will carry themselves. The tide will carry itself. The great slow breath of everything will carry itself out toward its far and peaceful rest. And you have only to be one small warm drifting part of it. Let go, let down, let carried, sinking softly through the warm dark toward a sleep that has been waiting for you patiently all this while, and means you nothing but rest. You are almost there now. You are almost all the way down. Let the tide take the last little way. Tonight has been about endings, and about how not one of them is anything to fear. Tonight has been about the great imagined ending of all life on this earth, and about how, when you slow it all the way down to the pace of warm water and turning tides, it stops being an alarm and becomes a lullaby, a long, slow, faithful exhale of the whole world, a tide going quietly out with no alarm in it anywhere. Tonight has been about the wall we drew across the far side of the ending, and about how the universe has never once built a wall like that, only slopes, only tides, only soft descents where you cannot feel the crossing. Tonight has been about the deep history of endings written into the stone, and how every single one of them was a hinge and not an emptiness, a making room and not a loss, a tide going out for one age so that it could come faithfully in for the next. Tonight has been about the sun and its long golden drowsiness and its final soft exhale into a ring of drifting light. Tonight has been about the small tireless lives soaked deep into the warm stone, the spring that no ending can reach. Tonight has been about the deathless atoms that were seawater and star and you, and will be, in their unhurried turn, something new and warm and alive. Tonight has been about the starlight arriving faithful across the dark long after its source has let go, and about the great even calm that waits so far ahead at the bottom of the longest breath there is. Tonight has been about the unbroken tide of life, 4 billion years unbroken, and about how you are only one warm crest of it, carried, held, never asked to keep it going, never left alone. You were carried tonight, and you did not have to swim. You were held tonight, and you did not have to hold on. You were shown the largest thing there is, and you found at the very heart of it only rest. And none of it, not one word of it, needs anything from you now. None of this needs anything from you tonight. You do not have to remember it. You do not have to agree with it. You do not have to stay awake for the end of it. You have only to keep drifting, softly, on the warm, slow tide that is already carrying you down. If, when you wake, you would like another quiet exploration to carry you off again, there is very likely one waiting on the screen for you already, another slow wandering through some large and gentle thing, ready to begin on its own. You do not have to reach for it, and you do not have to choose it. If it starts softly, all by itself, simply let it begin, and let a new low voice pick up the carrying where this one leaves off, and let yourself be drawn out on a fresh, warm tide into another good long night of rest. There is no seam you need to notice. There is only more of the same warm carrying, waiting, whenever you want it. And if some small warm thought would like to drift out onto the water before you go, you might let this one float there, gently, in the dark, with no need for any answer tonight of all the endings we wandered through. The tide, and the star, and the atoms, and the calm. Which was the one that felt to you the most like coming home? You do not have to decide. You do not have to say. You can simply let the question rest on the surface of the water beside you and drift there, warm and unanswered, while the tide takes you the last little way down. Because you are nearly there now. Feel the whole warm weight of you, received completely by whatever is holding you. Nothing left anywhere that is working. Nothing left anywhere that is holding on. Feel your slow breath, moving on its own now, in and out, easy and low. No longer anything you have to do. Only something that is happening softly, all by itself, like the tide, like the breath of the whole warm world. Feel the dark around you, wide and even and kind, holding you the way it holds the whole turning planet, the way it holds every small warm light in the whole vast sky. There is nowhere you have to be. There is nothing you have to reach. There is only this, only the warmth, only the slow outward drift, only the faithful tide carrying you down and out, softer and further with every breath, toward the deep warm sleep that has been waiting for you all along. Let it take you now. Let the last thread come loose. Let the day, and the words, and the whole large gentle thought of endings drift away behind you on the water, complete and let go, and no longer yours to carry. You are being carried instead. You always were. Out, and softly down, into the warm dark, into the long good night, into rest. Sleep well.